Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. So another episode of Odds and Ends, and this is kind of actually the second episode I'm filming back to back in real time, but I had so many items on that first one that I decided to split it up. So and this one is actually all going to be devoted to a single viewer appreciation gift, or maybe the correct term should be gifts, plural there, because one of my viewers, and I'm just going to refer to him as Joel, he wanted me to, I don't know that he wanted me to give his full name, but he contacted me a while back and was asking if there was anything I needed tool-wise. And anyway, we went back and forth, and as it turns out, Joel's got quite a collection of old tools of many different types and trades, and I think he's trying to find a home for some of them. And he really kind of twisted my arm a little bit and said, you know, what are you looking for? And anyway, I've got a list of some stuff, and I really didn't want to tell him everything because it was a pretty lengthy list of stuff, tools that I kind of had a list of that I was keeping an eye on for eBay or what have you, some things I thought I might be able to use. And Joel, as it turned out, had quite a bit of the things that was on my list, and just insisted that he send them to me. And I will say that we've actually been doing a little bit of trading, but quite honestly, Joel, I'm coming way out ahead on this deal, and I feel a little guilty about that. But anyway, I do appreciate what you sent along. So we're going to go through these and kind of share with you guys these tools that Joel has sent along, and I'm going to zoom you guys in, and we'll go through these. So, in no particular order, we'll just start grabbing stuff out of the box and go through these. The first item was just a 12-inch Starrett combination square rule. And, you know, I mentioned to Joel that I'd like to get another one of these simply because I've got a combination square set out in my toolbox at the shop that, of course, has the regular 90-degree square. It has the protractor head, and then it has the center finding V square on there. And what I really want to do is have a separate rule for each one of those items so that I could leave it set up in the toolbox and not have to change out the heads every time. Yeah, kind of lazy, but that's what I wanted. So anyway, Joel dug around and he found me another Starrett. This is a Starrett which will match the rest of them, 12-inch rule here. And while we've got that out, I'll go ahead and let's see, there's this piece here. This kind of goes with it. So some of you guys have probably seen this before, but this is for holding a second square perpendicular. So this actually clamps on to a combination square, just like the other items in the set. Let me get it on there. There we go. So anyway, that clamps on there and tightens up. And what you did with this is you would take a second rule and you would put it on here like such and clamp this in place. I'm kind of klutzy here today for some reason. There we go, spring loaded. So you would take that and, like on a surface plate or whatever, get that good and level with the bottom of the surface there. And now you've got a rule on here that you can use as kind of a height gauge. That you can come in here and measure the height of something off of that. And I probably should have it on the other way where the one is on the bottom, but I think you see that, get the idea of how it's used. So the rule I already had, but he did throw in, this is a Starrett number 289B. And that's just a rule holder, 90-degree rule holder. And that was another item that I was looking for. Starrett box here. And this is a number 129 bench block. And this is just a tool that you would use on like a workbench like this if you have a shaft or something that, or need to take a punch and knock pins out or whatever, you could just use this as a bench block to kind of work on. So another handy bench item. And you know, if you've got like a pin in a shaft, you got this nice little piece in here that the shaft will go into, and you can center that up and take a punch again and knock that pin out. So another nice item, again, Starrett, brand new in the box. More Starrett items here. These are some fillet gauges. So you know, this is got the angles in there by fractions, since you got different radiuses, both inside and outside, for measuring or laying out these different not angles, but different radiuses. So that one there is number 272B, and very similar here. Another set, and again, this is for like coming up on a corner of something if you wanted to measure these, and these are again fractional, different sizes where you can check both the inside and the outside diameters of something. So anyway, another nice little thing. I don't have, didn't have any of these, any like this anyway. So another nice couple of items here that Joel sent to me. I'd mentioned to Joel that one of the things that I was looking for was some standards for my micrometers. I've got a set of 0 to 6 inch micrometers. I have a 1 inch standard, but I didn't have a 2, 3, 4, and 5 inch standard. And then when I get into my bigger micrometers, I have the standards to go up to 12 inches, but I was missing these here. And as it turned out, he had some. Most of these are Mitutoyos. There's one different brand in here. And actually that's a Mitutoyo also. It's a little different style. So anyway, this is something that'll really come in handy for checking those micrometers and getting them calibrated properly. So again, some more nice items for the toolbox. See that little can here. And we'll pull that one out. Most of what's in here are some sockets, and back when I first started talking with Joel, he told me he had a lot of sockets of different kinds and asked me if there was any that I was missing. And I told him that I had a set of Craftsman tools that I got when I was a teenager. When I first started driving, you know, I had to work on my own truck back then. So I got a good set of Craftsman tools back in the mid-1980s that my parents gave me brand new. And I have almost all the sockets that came with that original set, but I was missing a few, and I sent him my ones that I was missing, and most of those he had some extras of that are Craftsman that he sent along. So I'm going to put these back in my toolbox in the right place. But another thing he sent me was a good set of 8-point sockets. And as you guys know, working on restoring a lot of the machinery that I do, there's a lot of square head bolts that I deal with. And anyway, he sent me a good full set here. Get those in the frame where you can see them a little bit better, of square head sockets. So some of these are 1/2 inch drive, and then he's got some that are 1/4 inch drive. And they basically go from, let's see what they go from. Make sure I got them all here. So the smallest one is a 1/4 inch, and we go up to 3/4 inches on the 8-point sockets. And then these are, again, were just some other ones that were missing out of my set, just standard sockets. I've got a set of 8 points. I think basically the equivalent of these. I don't have the 1/4 inch drive, smaller ones. And I told Joel, even though I had a set, I keep them out at the museum, but I kind of wanted to have an extra set of these here at the house because I do stuff at home and out at the museum, and now I've got an extra set, so I got a set here at the house as well. Next here is another little tool for your indicator, and I showed in one of my last videos an inside hole attachment for an indicator, and this is very similar, but instead of going, you know, straight across, this one's at a 90-degree angle. So think of putting the stem of your indicator in this little shank here and up against that, And what this does is it transfers the movement over here to in and out. So if you got a tight corner that you need to measure something on, you can actually kind of reach in with this little tool on your indicator and still be able to indicate it very accurately. And sometimes you just have a tight place that the indicator just won't fit in there. Say there's something over here, you've got a piece you're measuring up against right here, but there's something over here where you can't get the indicator coming straight in. With this, you can kind of reach in and still be able to indicate that surface and kind of reaching in there. So this is a Starrett number 671, and that was another item that was on my list of things I was looking for. So the next item here, or items here I'll show you, are something else that I told Joel I was looking for, which was a set of gauge pins. I don't have a set of gauge pins, and while this isn't just like a full set by thousandth of an inch, he did have some drill size gauge pins, which are really kind of cool, made by the Horberg Gauge Company of Bridgeport, Connecticut. And he gave me basically 3 sets of these. One of them is just a fractional set. We got a number set and a letter set for drill bits. So let me zoom you in here and show you these. Let's start with the fractional set. So this is basically starts at a 3/64 and goes up to 1/2 inch by 1/64 of an inch. And of course they're marked on here in both fractions and the decimal equivalent. It's interesting that for each size there's actually 2 gauge pins, 2 matching gauge pins. And there are a couple missing in here, but there's at least one of each one. Again, this is for your fractional drill sizes. And let's see, we'll go next to the numbered set. And it's just like that. It starts with a number 1 right here and goes to a 60. And again, there's a couple of them in here that I'm missing some individuals. But I've got at least one because there's 2 pins for each size in here. And then the letter set here, and this is of course a letter A to a letter Z. And again, on all these it has both the fractional, the number or the letter, as well as the decimal equivalent on there. So between these I've got a pretty nice set of gauge pins. It doesn't have every single possible size. That would be like 1,000 gauge pins for 0 to 1 inches. But this is a good start. This will be a really nice set for me to do some measuring with, some hole measuring with, which is quite honestly something I've been lacking and something I've been needing. And these looks like really nice. I'm not real familiar with this Horberg company. But these look like some really nice quality, well-made gauge pins. And while we're talking about gauges, Joel was also kind enough to send me a set of gauge blocks. And this I'm really, really excited about. This is something that I have been wanting and have had a need for on many occasions, but never really had a set. And these are made by C.E. Johansson Incorporated. And I did a little bit of research and found out a little bit about these. So C.E. Johansson is a Swedish gentleman that was from Sweden. And he was a kind of a machinist toolmaker type guy that I think worked on guns back in the early or late 1800s. And he was needing a better way to be able to measure some things. And it was an interesting story I read about him, but basically he had gone and visited another gun company, and was really interested to see how they measure things, and was really disappointed when he found out that they didn't have a better way of doing it than what he was already using. So on the train ride back home, he kind of came up with the idea of creating gauge blocks, and he was really the inventor of gauge blocks. And he created some gauge blocks, and then the company he was working for, and I don't remember the company at the time, once he kind of had a working set, he showed it to them, and they kind of got him started making gauge blocks. And eventually he came over to the United States in the early 1900s and started manufacturing these over here. And the automobile industry was particularly interested in these for their precision measurement they needed for making, parts for automobiles in the tool and die shops. Eventually, Ford Motor Company hired him, and the Johansson brand was marked Ford. It was actually a division of Ford. And then I think later on, the Johansson brand was actually sold by Brown and Sharp under both names, basically. So this set that I've got, it's interesting because some of these gauge blocks are this actually, I guess, from a couple of different sets. They weren't all original set, and each one of them have a number on them that tells what set they were originally with. But some of these gauge blocks actually say Ford on them. Some of them say Brown and Sharp on them. Some of them just say CEJ or Johansson Sweden on them. So there's a couple of different. Looks like these was kind of put together, or maybe they replaced some from different sets over the years. And it's a pretty complete set. I'm missing 4 of the gauge blocks that's in here, and I'm going to have to probably go on a quest to find those. You can still buy these, and I'd be willing to bet that even the stuff that's made today is the same size when fit in the case, but I'd really like to find some more Johansson. So let me kind of zoom you in here so maybe you can see these a little bit better. So if you're not familiar with gauge blocks, these gauge blocks are all very precision made to a certain length. And as you see here, like this is a 1 inch, so it's 1 inch from there to there. This one's 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches. And we start up here, we got something, this is a 50 thousandths, 100 thousandths, and then basically 101 thousandths, 102, you got 100 gauge blocks in here at 1,000th increments. There's 10 up here that are in 10 thousandths of an inch increments. So there's a 0.1001, 1002, 1003, and so on. And the way you would use these is you would actually stack them up to get whatever length you wanted. So if you needed, say, 1 inch, 345 thousandths, you would take a 1 inch, and you'd probably take a 300 thousandths, which would be this one, and then you would take a 45 thousandths, and I can't read them real good because of the light. But anyway, you would just stack these up to get whatever length you need, and with a little bit of oil, you can actually kind of put these together. And these aren't oiled real well, but they'll stick together with a little bit of oil in between them. So usually you would have a little pad that you would kind of rub them on to get a little oil on them, and then they would literally just stick together. And you can do very precision measurements with these. Usually you would use it like on a granite surface plate or something, and use these as a standard to measure against. But anyway, I'm very excited about this. Again, I'm missing the 50 thousandths, 100 thousandths, 125 thousandths, and 101 thousandth. And I'm going to have to go on a quest to find those. If anybody has a source to find some of these replacement gauge blocks, again, I would really prefer to find some that are the C.E. Johansson brand, just so they'll match the other ones in here. But if we can't find those, I'm sure that I can get a Starrett or something like that that's still made today. I'm pretty sure they're all the same size. But anyway, very nice set here. Missing just a couple, but otherwise a very nice set. And I'm real tickled to be able to add this nice gauge block set to my collection. All right, so the final item, and really to me, probably the crown jewel in this set, and what really kind of started all this, is this nice box right here. Starrett 24-inch vernier calipers in great shape. So let's zoom you in here. You can kind of take a look at these. So again, this is kind of what kicked it off. Joel told me he had these calipers, and asked if I had a set or if I could use a set, and my mouth started watering because this is really, really a nice measurement instrument to have. So I've got my regular dial calipers, like these. This is a 6-inch dial caliper. Just by comparison, you can see the size. These are my workhorse. I've actually got, this is a Brown and Sharp pair, and I got a set of Starretts out at the shop that I use. And these are my workhorses. This is what gets used most of the time, because most of the time you're measuring something in this range. I also have a set of 12-inch dial calipers, Starretts, out at the shop that come in handy for those occasions when you need to measure something a little bit bigger. But on many occasions I've had a need to go bigger than 12 inches, but I really haven't had a way to do precision measurements on that, and that's been frustrating. And so with this, I can actually go up to 24 inches with these vernier calipers. So if you're not familiar with the vernier calipers, they are a little bit different. You have to kind of know how to read one of these, and I may shoot a video. I'll probably shoot a separate video that kind of goes on how to read the vernier scale there. But if you can count to 100, you can easily read one of these. And yeah, it takes a little bit of math to do it, but it's not that big of a deal. But these are great for measuring both inside and outside. There's two scales. The bottom scale here is for inside measurements, and then the top scale here is if you're measuring outside between these 2 points. But again, you can go to 24 inches. This set is really nice. Probably the only thing that I see that's wrong with them, and it's really not a major thing, is that some ding-dong decided to drill a hang hole in here to hang this up on a piece of pegboard or something. Now, why you would ever want to hang a precision tool like this up on a nail on the wall, I really just have no clue, particularly when you got this nice box to store it in. But anyway, I can't do anything about that, and it doesn't seem to affect the function of it at all, and so we can live with that. Although I would like to get my hands on the joker that did that. So anyway, this is really nice. Really nice set of tools here. Super gift. Probably, that gauge block set is quite honestly a pretty expensive set, even if you buy them used. I think to buy a new set of these calipers from Starrett, it's around $1,000. So this is an exceptional gift, and I'm blown away that these were sent to me. And again, we're gonna, like I said, I have done a little bit of trading with him, and I won't really tell you what I sent him. It's not important. That's between me and him. But and I'm hoping that we're going to be able to send some other things his way in exchange for some of these. But as I said at the beginning of the video, I'm coming way out ahead in this deal. Really nice set of calipers here. Thank you so much. Wow. Joel, I really can't say thank you enough for sending all this stuff to me. This is really just blowing my mind. I was like a little kid at Christmas going through the box, opening these up and seeing what all was in there. And again, I really, I don't know how to say thank you enough for all this. This is unbelievable that you would just send this to me. And again, I know we're doing some trading, but still, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And we'll put these tools to good use. Joel told me, he says, I got a basement full of tools. I think he's kind of more of a collector than he is really using the stuff. And he says, it's time for him to go someplace else, and I would rather him go to someone that's going to put them to use than rather just sitting down here in my basement where they're not being used. So Joel, thank you so much for your kindness and your generosity. This is going to be a huge help to me, and again, it's really filled in a lot of my voids on some things that I've been looking for, and some tools that I think I can put to use. And Joel's actually been down and visited the museum before. We've met on many occasions over the years. I consider him a great friend, and now this is over the top. So thanks a lot, Joel. I really do appreciate it. again, it just blows my mind. So anyway, that'll wrap up this episode. And I thank you guys for watching, as always, and shoot some comments my way. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. We'll talk to you later.